What's Neat This Week, number 65 of this best
yeah,
hobby in the
everybody
world.
better put their,
God, everybody's smiling tonight. We've got a lot of folks out there.
cell phones on
Where's that
vibrate.
little video camera that I like to play with? Has it got a chip in it too? I think it does.
Better hope it does.
Sure. That's so much fun. David Letterman, we loved you. All right, guys, let's do this. This is going to be show number 65, and what a wonderful night it is today.
And guess what? You're going to do the opening before we do the show.
I know. How exciting is that?
Let's just see what happens right
Like
now.
the good
Somebody
old
give
days.
me a countdown, Mitchell.
All right, 3, 2.
Rolling.
Keep
those
those
out.
out.
Tonight, we're going to come in with podcast number 65, the What's Neat This Week podcast. And yeah, we've got Austin Allard. He's usually behind the camera. Tonight, he's going to be with us. And of course, Mike's going to talk about cars. Joshua's going to talk about Sugar Fire. Daniel's going to talk about DCC. And I got all kinds of really cool stuff to talk about on show number 65. Guys, the best hobby in the world. Let's do this.
All right.
Right now.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Bachmann Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at Athearn.com. And by Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at BachmannTrains.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week show / podcast number 65 for February 9th, 2019. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, and tonight we've got some great people in the room. And for the first time ever tonight, we have Austin Allard sitting at the table. We all love you, Austin. As soon as you sat down at the table, there was a different sort of energy pattern where I noticed everybody was grinning. Even he's still grinning.
Yeah.
So I just love the fact that you're with us tonight. Of course, we've got our favorite Michael Budde, also Daniel Coombs, yes, and of course Sugar Fire.
Hi, everybody.
Joshua Barton. We love you, Joshua, and we all have a lot to talk about. We got show notes and everything's prepared tonight. In new news, I noticed that. What was it? Rapido was talking about their brand new GE B36-7. They finally got fully painted models out there that they're showing off on their YouTube site. It's an absolute joy to see these gorgeous models in HO scale. These are one of my favorite U-boats, and the Santa Fe unit is just loaded up with roof detail. It's all the sprinkles on the ice cream that make this a magnificent looking model. I quite honestly cannot wait to get my hands on one of those.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
Magnificent.
Now, Daniel, you said those are coming out with Loke Sound, I believe, for sound in those?
That is correct.
That's
they
pretty
use
cool.
factory installed ESU Loke Sound. And going on with Loke Sound, they recently announced the version 5.0, which is their brand new, not decoders, but it's basically a new software format so you can get newer sounds as they come out on their website.
Wow.
That's why they call it new news, Daniel.
that's
We
right.
love it. Fantastic. Also, James Wright this week showed off the brand new Scale Trains Gunderson 5188 cubic foot hopper. He had multiple road names in this. I actually watched this video because it popped up right after our last week's What's Neat show all by itself, so I watched it through. And James Wright, your video quality is magnificent. Thank you for showing those wonderful models. Also, James was showing off this number 6920. This is the Honoring Our Veterans locomotive that had come out from Athearn Trains recently. This is a production model now. These are the ones that are out of the container. These things are perfect condition. They come with LED lights on them, and they also have full-blown Tsunami 2 decoders. These don't come with a scaled-down decoder. No. All of these Athearn engines in the Genesis line have full-blown, complete, all the options Tsunami 2 decoders.
Wow.
And that's something that they did want to stress because it's an absolute highlight when you put those on the track and they sound fantastic like they do. Now, yes, as you alluded to earlier, there was a lot of bit of Sedalia in the news this week. I was able to drive to Sedalia, Missouri, and check out this beautiful, wonderful little town. My father had just gotten married last week, so it was an honor to see him so happy with his lovely new wife. But I wanted to talk about the town because it really alludes to a new video that I made for What's Neat for March, where we're going to start slicing up some DPM buildings. It's just amazing, these cute little towns across the United States where they look just like the town that you see in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And Sedalia, Missouri is just like that little town with the cute Magnuson DPM and City Classic buildings all sitting there up and down. Plus, they've got a really nice modern Amtrak station right there in the center of town. And of course, there's the old MKT station that we're all familiar with. They've absolutely preserved this museum in Sedalia, and it's such a pleasure to see such a gorgeous Katy building like that just sitting there. But yeah, rock and roll Joshua, continue on with the rest of this story.
Yeah, so speaking of small towns, everyone knows the town Hill Valley from the Back to the Future series. And if anybody's watched the show before, they know I'm a huge Back to the Future nut.
Yeah.
And one of our viewers, John Inglesman, sent us some photographs here of his layout. And he actually has Hill Valley and the courthouse with the
This
actual
is
clock
neat.
on
This
there.
is a real
Wow.
scale model of the
It
prop.
is. It is.
It's the prop of the town.
Yeah, yeah, and he even has he got a DeLorean from Shapeways. And
So we're looking up the street and we're seeing God, this is a scene with a
That's
lightning
right.
bolt and a wire and
right around the corner there.
isn't that awesome?
It is.
What a magnificent model to see
It
modeled
is.
like
It's
that.
very, very cool and has a lot of thought put into it. So I was very impressed, John. Thank you for sharing with us. And if anyone else has anything to share with us, make sure to send it to our What's Neat This Week Facebook page.
Absolutely. Please do that. We've
Yeah.
seen a lot of great stuff on there. Now, Mike, buddy, you saw an artist that had sent us a lot of beautiful pencil drawings on the Facebook page.
Charles
Christopher
Williams. Or Christopher Williams, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're watercolors. I don't think they're drawings.
They are
I
very,
don't know.
very neat, though.
He can clarify that. But yeah, he does a lot of railroad themed scenes, both new and old, and he was trying to get some of his work out there, so maybe we can give him a little hand.
Yeah, that
But
blue and
sure.
white Santa Fe is very, very
Yeah, I
cool.
like that one too.
Yeah. And
Also, 1943.
yeah, Michelle Kempema, she just got a few of those prints.
She
from her
ordered
Christmas
ordered
cards.
Christmas cards for
Yes.
the museum out there. She
Yeah.
thought that was a beautiful, beautiful
It is a great
Eg-
shot.
rock and roll. And thank you so much, Michelle, for answering all of the Facebook questions out there because
Yeah.
honestly, we can't all get to them, but you're on top of it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
I know.
And
rock
thank you
and
to
roll.
Christopher for
Right.
sharing that stuff with us. And like I
Indeed.
said, send your stuff in if you want to get it on the show.
We talk about her but the fact is she's coming next week. Our regular member, Michelle, will be on the show with us here in person, just like we did when we did show number 62 out there at the museum.
Yeah.
So rock and roll. We're going to tour a few museums here in town.
Okay.
I understand we're going to Sugar Fire.
That's absolutely right.
I can't wait.
I know. Daniel took the days off, rock and roll. We're
No,
going to be at the Transportation
well,
Museum
okay.
on Friday, I believe. I don't know what time, probably 10
Yeah.
to 12, something like that. I think we're going to microengineering for a visit to see how track is made.
Very nice.
And, God, you know what? There's
Mark
a whole
Twain?
list of things. Whole list of things on the list. So rock and roll, we'll look forward to show number 66 next week. It's going to be a good one, guys, and it could be almost an hour long. Also, what else do we have going on? The new boxcar, the George Celios
Yeah.
fine scale miniature. I know. I always started out that way because I cannot believe we're talking about this. We all respect George, and he
Yep.
did, in fact. This boxcar's up to $575, folks.
Boy.
What's neat this week? Fine scale miniature. It's the Franklin and South Manchester layout boxcar, is how we have it listed on eBay. All the proceeds will go to support the museum and their expansion out there. Michelle notified me that I put on there it was a 6,000-foot expansion. It's a 30,000 square foot expansion.
Wow, that's a lot more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
A whole
my
lot
mistake.
more.
But the words were pretty good on the eBay description, so bid high, guys. I think that auction, as you see this show, will probably have 2 more days left on it. I think
Yep.
it ends like Wednesday or something like that,
I
7
believe
day.
So.
So that'll be great. We'll report the numbers next week on the show to see what that finally does sell for. Now, you guys know that this is probably one of the most relaxed shows that we prepared for tonight. We literally didn't even start recording this show until 15. This is the latest show we've ever recorded. But, Connor and Carter Meyer, both of Jeff's wonderful sons, had commanded the microphones, and we weren't getting them back.
That's right.
So this went on for a while as they talked about their old dog, Rover? Is it Dead Dog Rover?
I don't know how the song goes.
It was so cute. It was just beautiful. The pre-show entertainment down here is priceless, guys.
Yeah,
I'm glad
it
we
is.
get to watch it.
We need to charge admission for that and not the show.
I know. And guess who's sitting in the audience tonight, Joshua?
Would that be Mr. and Mrs. Mantilla?
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
And here we are with Cameron saying hello to the Mantillas who have come to hang out with us tonight.
That's right.
Jeff Meyer left. And of course, I see Austin Allard over here and Mike Budde, and I know both of them have a lot to talk about tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over to, without further ado, Mike Budde, because I know you want to talk about cars tonight, Mike.
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about was this auto frame load from ITLA scale models. Last week I had one of the stacks of frames done, and I finally got enough time to finish the rest of it this week. Now, I didn't finish it as exactly as the directions indicated, but the way they had you start off was with this overlay of the deck, and it added actually like 6 inches to each side, which is a more modern version of the auto frame flat. They widened the decks. I wanted to do mine closer to my era of late 70s, so I glued the things directly to the deck, and I also included equipment boxes on the end. Now, this kit was designed by Sean Steele, who we've mentioned here on the show before, and this is designed after the Crown Victoria frames from the early 90s, and he said that the cars he photographed did not have the equipment boxes on them, so that's the way this kit was designed. And in order to backdate mine, I wanted to have the boxes on the end, so I just scratch built some. Now, they are going to have another truckload come out, Silverado truck frames, and that one will have the equipment boxes with it. But all in all, the kit went together pretty nicely. It was a little bit tedious in some spots, but everything fit as planned, and it turned out really nice. I would say the weakest part of it is the tie downs, just because the nature of the laser board that it's made out of, it's really thin. It's almost like masonite, but you can't get much detail, cutting out chains and stuff. So
I can't believe those aren't plastic.
yeah,
I know.
I mean
Amazing.
it does really look. I painted my frames
feel it.
really high gloss black, and then I put a gloss clear coat on top of them because I wanted them to be real shiny, like new frames.
That's pretty stout material.
So-
That's strong.
It is.
It almost feels like it's a mixture of plastic and wood together. Is that what this would be? Perhaps?
Laser
Yeah.
board, I don't know. That's what Nick
This is some
Masney said.
material here. This is some tough material.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
this
it's,
goes right on top of the flat car. So that's
that's the way
entire
it's
deck.
supposed to be built. But I eliminated that just to backdate mine, and then I repositioned the locations of the frame stacks back a little bit so I had room for the equipment box at the end.
The ingenuity of some of these mom and pop manufacturers. You know, they must lay there in bed at night and invent these ideas.
Yeah.
And then to see that you just did this. I mean, come on. I just got the show out, and here you've got this already built.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, how does he? I mean,
Magic.
Well, yeah.
magic.
Yeah. The cars I got up there are...
Do your neighbors ever see you? Like, do you ever go outside? Are
yeah,
you,
they see me
are you-
photographing things out in the yard sometimes. They, they're polite.
What's that
polite
old
but
man doing
reserved.
now?
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
So, these cars up here are all just happen to be from the model year 1961, but the ones on the left are the Revell early Chrysler products from 1961. I'm sure you've seen these at swap meets and stuff, but with a little bit of work and detail and repainting and stuff, and especially swapping out the wheels, they can be made into pretty nice models. And then the ones on the right there, those are the Oxford 61 Chevy convertibles in 3 different colors that they have. They're really, really nice models.
Those
Oxford
are
has
beautiful.
really stepped up their game.
Do those
lately.
come out of the package like that?
Just
Because that
like
looks
that.
like one you would have
Wow.
finished. This is the
Mhm.
red one and the black one right there,
Right,
right?
yeah, and the white one, yeah.
Those are nice. What's
So-
the price point of those? How much are
Those
something like that?
are less than $10. I think like $8.95. or
Austin,
something.
can I touch one of those?
Yeah.
I want to look at them.
I
Hold
mean,
on.
all the screen pad printed detail
this
is
is
really
nice.
Look at that
exquisite
front end.
on there.
You know what? That's like
So-
similar. That's the same car that I built that's been in so many photographs. That Impala that I
No,
did.
yeah,
Wow.
yours was a
Look at that.
59.
Mine's
but,
a 59.
Classic Metalworks about 20 years ago did a sedan version of that car, and
Rock
at the
that
time
right there.
that was there you go.
That's
That's your
a
59.
Most famous car I've ever built.
Yeah,
And that's all your idea. The whole thing was your ideas that
Yeah.
I learned.
right. Well, thanks.
I did an article in Mainline Modeler with that.
Mm-hmm.
Did I didn't mean to interrupt
That's been in
you.
a lot of photographs.
This is the spontaneity of the podcast. You just pulled
Yeah.
this out. Those rear headlights tipped me off. That's
But,
great.
yeah, these are pretty amazingly detailed.
blew this
for
whole
what
segment.
they
I'm
are.
sorry.
That's okay. And then the station wagon is, as I started to mention before, Classic Metalworks did the 61 Impala back in the early 2000s or late 90s. And I converted one into a station wagon and did a bunch of resin cast models. So that's what the green one is. So one last thing I wanted to mention on here was our pal up in Minneapolis, Bob Rivard.
I love Bob
Yeah.
Rivard.
Yeah,
love him.
his layout was featured around Thanksgiving on a TV station KARE TV, where Bob happens to be a camera operator there. He's worked there for 20 some odd years, or maybe even more than that. I don't know, but they finally featured his SOO line layout that he has in the basement of his home, and we've got a link to it for the YouTube video. You can go to YouTube and see how that turned out, and his layout features a lot of local spots that people that grew up there in the Twin City areas would really recognize. And so anyway, I'm making a telephone truck for him right now, Northwestern Bell, so he can
Oh, he's
have
gonna
that in
love
his next
that.
video.
Nice.
There
I
you go.
you can darn straight bet he'll be in St. Louis for the prototype.
Oh,
Modelers
yeah,
Week.
he was down here last
can't
summer.
Wait to see him.
Yeah.
It's going to ride around the corner.
Yeah.
We just went to the Great American Train Show that was over there in Collins. Was it in Collinsville?
Collinsville,
no,
yeah.
I drove
yeah.
to Collinsville. There was no show in
And
Collinsville.
then realized, oops, it's
So
St.
then I
Charles.
jumped. I know. So
Yeah.
I did finally cover the show. 30 minutes later, I was in St. Charles and rock and roll. It was a great show. I got a few clips of the show. You know, the kids riding the trains and just your typical Great American Train Show entertainment for the family value of it. But at the same time, the Lego layout was serious. These guys had a Lego layout there that was absolutely immaculate. There was another gentleman that almost collected like die-cast old Tonka type trucks and erector set merry-go-rounds. I mean, you talk about a man's passion for a whole different segment of the hobby of model railroading, where you're dealing with the old metal barnyard toys, and all of this was working. He motorized his erector sets. Oh man, remember how much fun those were? God, I had one of
Yeah,
those too.
I
I
did
love
too.
them.
Don't know what you guys are talking about. Sorry.
Oh, Daniel, the
Little before
erector
your
set. Oh
Yeah, I
my
know.
gosh, Daniel. We should. I wonder what happened if we pull. You know, I've got the game Battleship upstairs in the garage.
Oh, I know that.
Do ya?
Yeah, I remember
Little
that.
Peg, Red Hole, got you, Battleship.
Yep.
I remember that. Milton Bradley, was that? Who was that? I don't know. God, you got me into trouble on that one. Did we get lost? Did I just blow
Yes.
this whole?
Yep.
It's okay, guys. Just somebody take it, because I'm going to look at Austin Allard's beautiful blue eyes and smile over there and say, you own an amazing model railroad. You've probably got more trackage than any of us do on any of our layouts combined.
I think
Three
all,
times
all
more.
of us.
Yeah, all of us
combined,
combined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tell us, Austin, about your passion for this hobby.
Well, it started back in the late 90s. My dad would take me up to Kirkwood. We used to watch trains all the time, and I grew up watching trains and really not much modeling. But when I became roughly about 13 or 14, I just didn't have any passion at all. All the way through high school, I had no passion anymore, and I don't know what sparked my interest again, but in about 2013, I went back to Kirkwood just to see, who was still around, and then again, it just sparked my interest. So I started buying trains, and next thing you know, Dad and I have about the whole basement full. So
So you work with your father on this project.
yeah, my dad has done a lot of the bench work. He's done numerous things with lighting and electrical with me, but mainly I took it over and just did my own thing with it.
How
That's
much? How
awesome.
much mainline track do you think you have down there?
There's 3 main lines. 2 of them are 250 feet, and the other one's about 190.
Wow.
So-
And a huge yard.
Yeah, I
right?
got 10-yard tracks at about 50 feet apiece.
I would say one thing that you like is long trains. Would you say?
Prototypical.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see really shorter trains running anymore.
And when we say long trains, give me a count of cars. What does that mean to you?
140.
Coal cars.
Well, since I just acquired the coal cars from you, I've got two 70-car coal trains, about a 40-car auto rack train, about a 40-car well train, and about a 60-car manifest.
Now,
Nice.
is there a part of the country at some point you plan to represent with
Absolutely. The Jeff City sub.
Jefferson
the
City
UP
sub?
line that runs from St. Louis to Jefferson City. Kirkwood.
And another part of the hobby I've noticed that you really enjoy, and I see this through your Facebook page, is you enjoy the camaraderie. You host a lot of events for the model railroaders so that they can come and share your hobby with you.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of a central point for everybody that I know to hang out. There's not a lot of people anymore that I really hang out with that don't associate with model trains. There's just so many of us, and a lot of people I know don't particularly have layouts or just don't have the time to build them. You know, like Jeff Meyer, you know, I've been trying to help him clean up the basement.
Yeah.
But obviously he'll come over and run trains, but yeah, it's fun.
When you're like Jeff Meyer and you get to play with the real ones
Yeah.
every day, he's not in a hurry to build it.
That's true.
He's so awesome, though. God, I love him. So you working with your father on this layout, and at some point, what's your goal? What's your next step now? You got your long trains.
To
you got
move out.
To move out.
Go bigger.
Maybe to move out and build my own house so I can actually model the Jeff City sub.
So you're going to build the basement first?
I'm gonna build the house around the basement.
Perfect
Build the ranch,
answer.
the
There you
bigger,
go.
the bigger footprint on the map. So it's hopefully about maybe 2,000 to 2,200 square feet would be my goal.
Isn't it awesome to have him on this side of the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
that's
feels a
nice.
little different, but
I
it's
love
nice
it. This
to be
is
up
a great
here.
way. It's how it should be. Now, Daniel, you've been working on your layout. Believe it or not, you have been getting work done on it. Tell us about what you've been up to. I know you had some stuff you wanted to talk about tonight.
Yes, indeed. So, actually, with that, I did finish up for my YouTube channel a video over the Athearn Genesis Spirit engine. Of course, that is a hot engine that I think Athearn, they're going to be doing a fourth run this upcoming time. But also, with working on the layout, I have been trying to put a little bit of scenery here and there. And I also got a new DCC system that I hooked into. And I'll tell you what, better than the other one I had. Just the fact of the locomotive slots, you'd have to punch so many keys, 20 locomotive slots in the system. Now this new one has 100, so I don't have to constantly be resetting the system to clear them out. Also,
Do you know what a slot is, Mike?
No.
I forgot what it was. Explain to me what that is.
well, if I can say Digitrax on this show.
Go ahead. Rock and roll. We love Digitrax. I've been
Well-
using my system for 17 years before I found out how great NCE was.
Right. But what Digitrax, the way the slots work is how many locomotive addresses you can obtain in the system. And then there's a max number of 120 or even 100 that once that number comes up to 100, it won't let you select any more locomotives and you got to clear out its memory.
Oh, I
and
remember
reset it.
that. I do remember that. Slots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also just little cosmetics here and there, and I'm trying to finish up areas of closing up my river water bodies because I decided they're not working out. My bridges I built, just the train wouldn't take the curve, so I had to put 22-inch radius Atlas sectional track down. So I got to rethink, am I going to make it a creek, stream, or what am I going to do it, or just fill it in? So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question now because I know I asked
Go
you
ahead.
earlier. Of all the photographs that I've done for Bachmann over the past 18 and a half years, what's your favorite? Which one sticks out in your mind? And Joshua was the one that said you should ask this question.
I know what mine is.
And I got to tell you what, I don't even know what my answer would be. What would be yours, Mike? Because there's been over probably 1,200 photographs, ads.
Well, I guess it's Bachmann, the Easy Track ad from the carpet to the forest.
Oh my
That
God!
is
I love
a
you. I love
classic.
you. I love you.
You know,
That's
that
right.
is
Everybody
that
knows
is
it.
perfect.
Yeah.
From the carpet
Yes.
to your imagination, Easy
Yeah.
Track would take you there. That's kind of what the synopsis I thought.
Yeah.
So we showed a photograph where it was carpet. Yeah, that ad has been going for 15 or 16 or
Yeah,
18
that's-
years. I think I shot it in 2002. I think.
And I would like to say, the one day, Bachmann had their 260 moguls that came out in 2013, and I happened to be here, and actually watch you do it live. And I was just sitting back, and you're getting it all prepped up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm watching now Ken do his work. And
I hope I shot B-roll of that because I can run it right now. I know we'll find the pictures in the
We'll find
computer.
But that's basically my
I would have to
favorite
go
one.
back to 2001 where I really put a serious amount of horsepower into photographs. Not that I gotten lazy later, but Jesus, I'm sweating. The 1999 catalog with that city that we did for Wathers was one of them that really sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
And how about the Acela? The Acela shot where I
The
literally had to
Spectrum.
scratch build all that catenary
That is
off
a
of
neat
photographs.
shot,
It is
yeah.
neat, though.
I do remember that
That's back
shot.
there.
Those
There
are
it
the
is,
ones
right in the
that
corner.
sticks out in my mind. And we had multiple mainline modeler covers featuring their product. In fact, it was a Bachmann engine that was in that Christmas shot that I had done because I've been shooting so many of their beautiful models for so long. I just told you I finished that cover shot for them last week. Rock and roll. I haven't gotten the actual shot yet from them, but as soon as I see the cover, I'll put it up on one of the shows so we can see how that one had come out. And that was it. Austin, you got a favorite?
I'd probably say the one with your son in it at Christmas.
Oh my God! I never even thought about that. Doesn't even have a
Because
train.
that's
It
sentimental.
captures. Yes, it's hanging up in the basement down here. My wife loves that shot. We all do. I think he took it to school once with him and talked about it in fourth grade show and
Yeah.
tell.
Oh my
I
god.
still have that one hanging on my wall.
Famous.
And I did one with my daughter too. Bachman and I had talked about that and said, okay, well, girls play with trains too. And so we did one with Anna.
Right.
So I had both of my wonderful children in the model press. How about that?
Next, you got to have your wife posing
Yeah.
a picture.
Yeah. How about that too?
Which picture was that one with the locomotive reflected in the large puddle in front of it? Was that a Bachmann ad?
That might have been. I've done so many reflection shots like
Mike,
that.
I
Which
think that
engine
was a
that?
Blackstone Models.
Oh, okay.
C19.
I've done it with
was
Blackstone.
recent.
Reflection shots are easy, so I've done it with Bachmann because Bachmann steam engines always have that cute little tea kettle look in the skyline.
Yeah.
It just makes for a great photograph. You can't lose no matter what you do. Speaking of great skylines, I want to say that Luke Towan's got a new video on YouTube. I checked all the YouTube videos right before we did the show. Kathy Millett also has a new one on modeling winter. Man, Kathy, you're modeling some cold videos for the last going on almost 3 months. Rock and roll, Kathy. But Luke Towan's video is really cool because he shows us how to model muddy water. And muddy water reminds me of this famous Central Valley photograph that we all remember where Jack Parker had modeled a beautiful, if you ever seen his layout, he nailed it when it came to muddy water color, which really impressed upon me that we could become good model builders as well. I mean, I've seen the Mississippi. You know when it's muddy is during flood season, when all the mud's kicked up. And Luke Towan not only shows us the water, but he's also great at scenery. So hats off to Luke Towan. We love your work. And I see we're coming up darn close to the end. Let's go around the table and see if there's anything else before we close out. Number 65, guys.
I know you looked at me first because I have a tendency.
That's because as soon as I go to Mike,
Yeah.
it's going to
Then,
be, oh,
then he'll remember.
it's okay.
Well,
Well, I hope we can regain contact with our old pal Ed Richardson. He moved to Oklahoma and kind of left us all behind. So
We love you, Ed
Yeah.
Richardson, with
I'm
all
sh-
your RC
RC
cars.
I'm sure he's still working on that stuff. So we'll wait to hear
I'd
from
sure
him.
like to
So
see Horizon develop.
Best
an
of luck
RC
to you
car
down
line.
there,
That
Ed.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, who else is moving out of town? You said.
Oh, Walker Embry.
Yeah.
Walker
Bummer.
Embry. We've had him on the show with his beautiful N-scale Missouri, Kansas, Texas layout.
He tore that
He
out.
actually
He actually
switched to
switched.
and
HO.
they built an HO scale
Big
layout,
turn in
and now
Southern
he's
is
tearing
his
it
And now
out.
he's tearing it
Man,
down, too.
that
All
guy
right,
is a dynamo.
Patrick Tillery out in Caboose and Lakewood. I talked to you on the phone today, and I videotaped your gorgeous PBL stuff, your layout, and in fact, I complimented him about what a great layout he built. He's like, Ken, I tore it down. What? I'm doing HO scale again. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's amazing the diversity of the hobby. You could be so full blown into it. You're full throttle into what you want. And you can still change and do something completely different, whole nother scale, whole nother part of the country. And guess what? It's okay, because this is the best hobby in the world.
It
And
is.
this
I
hobby
actually thought about
affords
switching
us
to
that.
N scale this week.
I love this
yeah.
hobby, guys. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
that just means
Yeah.
200 car long trains
Yeah.
on your layout.
I've got too much invested in HO to switch to N scale.
Right.
And there are people doing that. Somebody
Yeah.
told me today they're switching to N scale, and I was like, N scale is only 5% of the market out there.
Mitch McAdams, our
Yeah.
cameraman tonight.
Was that you telling me that, Mitch?
Yeah.
Gosh, what a small world. You know what? I want to go to Steak and Shake and grab a burger, guys.
That sounds
We
good.
can
So
do
what
that.
are we going to do? We're going to go run some trains first, aren't we?
I like
Yeah.
that idea.
Let's
I
go
like
run the
that.
new veterans unit with NSSD 60E.
Rock and roll, guys.
Okay.
Bid high on the George Celios layout.
That's right.
If there's anybody going to be in St. Louis on Friday next week, be sure to meet us at the Transportation Museum, probably between maybe 10-ish and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And otherwise, next Saturday night, we will have Michelle Kempema on the show with us, and also Campbell Wright will be in the studio.
Rice.
And I'm
Campbell
sure
Rice.
Rice.
Campbell Rice. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of other special guests on that day, come for that day. So plan on a bonfire that night, guys.
right.
We're going to have a great weekend coming up. This has been a great show. Podcast number 65. Best hobby in the world, guys, and I love it. Let's go run some trains.
No, it just creeped me out.
Oh no, we didn't test on the other bridge. Is it gonna work? No.
The turbine too.
I feel like when you tilted that sideways, right? Oh, you can't. Yeah. Oh, you can't.